everyone. So this is my first ever video and it's going to be a get ready with me video. I'm really excited. I've been wanting to do this whole like YouTube beauty thing for a really long time, and yeah, so if you want to see how I usually get ready in the morning, then keep on watching. So I first start off with a face primer. Today I'm going to be using the Rimmel Fix and Perfect Pro. This is one of my favorite primers from the drugstore. It has a little bit more of like an emollient texture, and I like the way that it really smooths over the skin. So I'm mainly concentrating this in the areas that I need it. So like right around my T-zone, around my nose, a little bit around my mouth. And then whatever I have left on my fingers, I just sort of rub in and then take more to like the perimeters of my face. The foundation I'm going to use today is my favorite foundation I have found in a long time, drugstore high-end regardless. It is the Nearly Naked foundation from Revlon. My shade is number 120 Vanilla. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to spread this on the back of my hand. I'm going to be using my fingers today to apply this. I used to be more of like a flat top kabuki, you know, think like Sigma F80 type of brush person, but I find that this foundation is just so blendable and it just glides over the skin so well that it works perfectly if I just use my fingers, and then I'm not dirtying brushes, so it's like less work in the long run. I'm going to take a little bit more and just go down my neck. So after I've done that, it's time to move on to concealer. I've been having a little bit of a breakout right here and then a little bit right here on this side. One of my favorite concealers to cover up blemishes is the Rimmel Match Perfection 2-in-1. This is the concealer and highlighter. I used to think that this would be horrible for blemishes just because of like the whole highlighting aspect of it, but I find that it really covers well. My shade is number 230 Light, or a fair/light, I suppose. So what I'm going to do is just squeeze a little bit onto the brush tip here and then just pat it in over my blemishes. After I've done that, it's time to set everything. I'm going to be using the Revlon Nearly Naked powder. Again, just an absolutely flawless product. I'm in number 10 Fair. I'm going to take a Sonia Kashuk. This is her multitasker brush, I believe it is. It's just a really big, sort of fluffy powder brush. Tap this just right into the product. I don't use a whole lot of powder, so I really make sure to tap off the brush. And then I just powder in the areas that I tend to get oily. So that happens to be like right here on my forehead, a little bit around the sides of my nose and my mouth. And then I just sort of blend it outwards. So I'm going to start off with an eyeshadow primer. This is a step that, just like face primer, I really don't think you should skip. It's going to help increase the longevity of your eyeshadows as well as increase the vibrancy. So my favorite and my all-time holy grail eyeshadow primer is the Nars Pro Prime eyeshadow base. I really love this stuff because even though it is a little bit pricey, I'm not a huge fan of the price tag, it works so well because I have such extremely oily eyelids that things like Urban Decay Primer Potion and Too Faced Shadow Insurance just don't cut it for me. I don't know what it is about those products, but they don't ever seem to work well for me. So I'm just smoothing a little bit of this all over my eyelid. I also like to take any little excess I have on my finger and go over my eyebrows. And something like this that is just a clear tone primer can go over your eyebrows. It's not going to mess up your coloring or anything like that. Definitely not something you would want to do if you have like a tinted eyeshadow primer, but if you have anything that dries clear, then you should be good. And my phone keeps on going off, so I really do apologize for the zzz you're going to hear probably throughout the video. The next thing I always do is I curl my eyelashes. I'm kind of weird. I like to do it first instead of last. And by the way, this is just an eyelash curler from Revlon. I love this one because it actually fits my entire eyes. I have such like elongated eyes that usually nothing really tends to work. For my look today, I'm wanting to do something just easy, simple, something I really would do on an everyday type of basis. I'm going to start with a Maybelline Color Tattoo. This is from the Metal line and it's in the shade number 55. Inked in pink. And what this is it's just a really gorgeous pink cream eyeshadow basically. It's got a little bit of like a champagne-y type of an undertone to it. And I'm just going to apply a really light layer of this all over the lid to make the eyeshadow that I'm going to use later pop more. The next product I'm going to use is an eyeshadow duo from Nars, and this is Kalahari. And this is what it looks like. It's a gorgeous sort of taupey type of a duo. So I'm going to work with this shade. And I'm going to be taking a Sephora, this is the Oval Blending number 27 brush. Just looks like this. Very similar to something like the MAC 217. Anything sort of like fluffy will work. If you want to use just a regular type of flat shader brush, you can go with that as well. I'm just going to dab this into the product. And then what I'm going to do is just apply a wash of this all over my eyelids. So I'm wanting it to just be really sheer, which is why I am deciding to use the blending brush instead of something like a flat shader brush. So with this, just take it all over your lid, up into the crease. So this is what the eyes look like so far. I am going to add a little bit of a crease color, outer V type color, just to add a little bit more depth, give the lids a little bit more of shape, and for that I'm going to go to the Lorac Pro palette. This is one of my favorite eyeshadow palettes of all time. It's amazing. And I'm going to go to this matte row here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix these shades, Sable and Espresso, which are just two sort of dark brown type shades, and I'm keeping the same brush when I do this. With these shades, it's very important that you always tap off the excess. They are just so creamy that if you don't do that, you're going to have just major fallout issues. So with this, I just got some on the very point of the brush. I'm just going to stamp it along my outer V and then just blend it into the crease. So as you can see, you sort of get just a little bit more definition if you do this. After I've done this, I'm just going to take a small little pencil brush. This is one that I got from Essence of Beauty. It's like a CVS brand. Comes in a little duo with another sort of pencil-y brush that's a bit bigger than this. I love this brush so much. Perfect for what I'm going to do, which is put a little bit of shadow underneath the lash line. So I'm going to go back into Sable. I'm not going to mix too much of espresso in it because I don't want my lower lash line to be too dark. Finally, for a highlight shade, I'm going to go into the Urban Decay Naked palette and use the shade called Virgin, which is right here. It's just a sort of like a satiny cream shade. It has a little bit of like a pink undertone to it. But I'm just applying this right underneath my brow bone. I think today I want to use a black eyeshadow for my eyeliner just to make it look a little bit more natural, really push the liner into my lash line. So I'm going to grab my favorite black eyeshadow, which is from the Naked 2 palette, and it is called Blackout. This shade here, it's obviously just a matte black. I'm just going to take this on a push liner brush, something that's just sort of flat, has a nice straight edge, and quite literally push this into my lash line. So that looks about good. Next I'm going to move on to a liner for my waterline. I'm going to be using my favorite Holy Grail waterline, tightline eyeliner, and it is from L'Oreal, and it's the Carbon Black Extra Intense eyeliner. It's one of those sort of like liquid pencils, think like Urban Decay 24/7 liners. This is so much better than those though. Like I honestly would never spend my money on Urban Decay Zero or Perversion because this is so much blacker. So I'm just going to take this into my upper waterline as well as my lower, or my tight line and my waterline, I guess you could say. So now that our eyes are nice and defined, I'm going to move on to mascara. I'm going to use one of my favorite mascaras of all time, and that is the Buxom Lash Mascara. Apply any mascara you want, obviously. So now I'm going to move on to the rest of my face. I'm going to start with a little bit of bronzer. I'm going to be taking my e.l.f. powder brush, which looks like this. It's just like a flat top type of brush. And one of my favorite bronzers is from Too Faced, and mine happens to be in the Too Faced Sweet Dreams palette. It's the Too Faced Chocolate Soleil bronzer. So I want to do this. This is what that looks like. It's just a really awesome matte bronzer. I love this because it doesn't pull too orange. I'm just getting a little bit onto the brush. I'm going to tap it off and go right here on my temples, kind of where I'm wanting to contour a bit. So after we have a nice little bit of contour going on, I'm going to move on to blush. I'm going to use one of my favorite sort of go-to blushes, and it's from Rimmel, and it's the Lasting Finish Blush in Santa Rose. This is what that looks like. It's just a really beautiful, light, peachy pink. I love this blush because it also doesn't have too much shimmer. I'm taking this on just a random angled brush that I have laying around. I'm just going to sweep this across my cheekbones and sort of pull it back more towards my temples. Now I'm going to do my eyebrows. I'm going to take the Anastasia, however you want to pronounce it, Brow Powder Duo in Brunette / Dark Brown. This is what it looks like. Oh, and the brush I'm using, shouldn't forget that, is a MAC 266. Set that all in with brow gel. I'm going to be using the Great Lash Clear Mascara from Maybelline. MAC 204, it's just like their spoolie brush. To soften everything up and just really find the shape that I want. And last but not least, lips. I'm going to be using the Cargo Lip Gloss Quad in South Beach. And I'm going to take this sort of darker, more sort of like a burgundy rose type of a shade. It goes on a little bit sheer, and I'm just going to take this with my fingers, I think. And apply a little bit of this all over my lips, just to give a nice sheen and a little pop of color. And I love this color just because it's really subtle, not anything too dramatic, but it adds a nice little bit of color and sheen to your lips, which I appreciate. So yeah, this is the finished look. I'm going to zoom you guys in so you can see the eyes a little bit more. A little bit more of like a close-up view of everything. So this is my first ever video, my first ever Get Ready With Me video too. If you guys like, please leave a rating down below. Comment if there's anything you think I should change, anything that you think I should do a little bit differently, or if you'd like to see a certain type of video. I really hope you guys support me and will hit that subscribe button. I plan on posting pretty regularly. I don't really have any type of like a set schedule in my mind, but for the good few weeks here, I'm going to make sure that I put up a lot of videos so you guys have a lot of content to work with. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye!